Today's reading is John chapter 14, verses 1 to 6. Jesus says goodbye to his disciples in their distress with that lovely promise, I will go and prepare a place for you so that where I am you may be also. What a goodbye. I don't like goodbyes. When I've moved from one job to another in the past, it's always an emotional moment. I've loved all my jobs and worked with some amazing teams of people. And at that point, I'd rather slip away quietly without any fuss like a normal day, but you can't do that. There's always the speeches and the thank yous and the lovely gifts. So touching, but so difficult emotionally. And yet without that, there is no closure, as they say. Well, I thought we might take a light-hearted look at goodbyes, imagining what a goodbye might be like for George and the dragon. If you've been following these thoughts since lockdown, you might remember these characters who had 6 outings before, and from being enemies set to fight each other to the death, they became firm friends, and along the way learnt some lessons about life and God and following Jesus. I found it difficult to come up with a storyline that would have them say goodbye to each other permanently or even for a long time, except for that very last goodbye of death. This does have to be the most difficult of all goodbyes after all. So let's reflect on how it might go for our friends George and the friendly dragon. The next question is, which one of them would go first? Well, as everyone knows, dragons live for a very, very long time. So it's more likely to be George in the deathbed scene. How would that go? Hello, George. I've come to see you. I heard you were pretty sick. Why, dragon? How did you get in here? They're not used to your kind of visitor in here. Well, they did take a tiny bit of persuading. But you know me, George. I can stretch my claws out without actually using them. Just pointing out that they're in good condition. It does me good to see you, dragon. But I'm afraid I won't be good company today. Not feeling on top form, you know. That doesn't matter. I just want to spend some time with you, George. I've been missing you since you were ill. We have been good friends, haven't we, dragon? You've been a good friend to me anyway. Now listen, you're just about the best friend I ever had, George. I've enjoyed all our time together so much. Me too, but I'm afraid it's all over, dragon. I'm on the way out, you know. It won't be long now. May as well be honest. I'm done for. That's really sad. I'm devastated. It's so hard to hear you talk like that. Ouch! Watch out, dragon. Do you think you could cry a bit further away? Your tears are pretty hot, you know. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to scold you. As if you didn't have enough troubles right now. No, you're all right. No worries. What does it matter anyway? It won't make any difference to me now. Dear George, it sounds like all the fight has gone out of you. It's really not like you. Are you worried or scared about what's coming? I mean, well, dying? Does it frighten you? Do you know, it's not like that at all. I always loved fighting, at least before I met you, and you showed me that it takes more courage not to fight, and that making friends can make a far better future. Do you remember persuading me to take my armour off and leave it to rust in the grass? I certainly do. That was hard for you to feel vulnerable, but you did it. You were really courageous that day, George. Yes, and to answer your question, I don't feel scared about dying. It feels like the next adventure. And because I took my armour off and learnt how to live at peace with everyone, even you, dragon, I feel at peace with God and at peace with what's happening to me. I don't find it frightening at all. Of course, I hate being ill, but as for dying, well, I feel curious about what it's going to be like. I wonder if it's true that we meet old friends who died before us. What do you think, George? No idea, really. But if that does happen, do you think I would meet up with all the dragons I killed before I met you? How's that going to be? I expect a well-timed sorry would do the trick, go down well. I would get that in first if I were you. Yes, good advice as always, dragon. I'll remember that. At least, I will say sorry to them in my prayers, just in case they can hear. I am sorry, really, although they were pretty aggressive to me, those other ones. I dare say the sword and the spear might have had something to do with that. Okay, I admit it. I hit out without waiting to see if they were friendly like you. I had this fixed idea that all dragons are bad and evil. Of course, that was quite wrong. What an idiot I was. Dear George, you are the sweetest and kindest knight that I know. You're looking rather tired. Shall I just sit here and hold your hand for a while? Sorry that mine is rather scaly, but I'll tuck my claws away. That sounds perfect. I would like you to stay there, dragon, so we can say goodbye, or rather, au revoir. I hope and pray it will be that, and that we can share the next adventure together like we've done so far. Au revoir, George. Until we meet again, may the Lord hold you in the hollow of his hand.